Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be doing a Senate election prediction. This is going to be for the midterms coming up this November 2026. So we've got all the safe states characterized, as you can see. Definitely the majority of states are in their respective political leanings parties. So we have quite a few states left, though, left to characterize. I will start out with the likely states for the Republicans, so likely characterization. So I do think there are going to be a few of those. One that I see fairly likely ending up in the likely column is Iowa. The state, it's been a while since it's voted blue on the statewide level. It'll be interesting. I don't, right at the moment, don't predict this Senate election would be the opportunity where that would take place. So that's going to be one more seat for Republicans. And as you can see, this starts us out, well, before I characterize Iowa, brings us to 46 to 43, with Republicans taking the lead. So for Democrats to take back the Senate, they would have to win 8 of these seats, which is going to be a tall ask. And so we'll see what is possible. But for Republicans to hold the Senate, at least for the rest of Trump's term, they would only need another 4 votes, and that would result in J.D. Vance being the tie-breaking vote for the Senate, at least for the rest of Trump's term. So we're going to go back to Iowa, put that into the likely column. There's going to be a few more. I'm going to go with, accidentally went. I'm going to go with a couple of the other likely states. So we're going to start with Texas. I do think this would, I might be willing to put this into the lean category. For now, I'm going to go with likely. It'll be interesting to see if whatever Democrat wins the Democratic primary in Texas will be able to get close to Beto O'Rourke's margin in 2018 when he got within 3 points of defeating Ted Cruz. At the moment, I don't see either of them quite being able to do that. I think they might narrow it up, but I don't think it'll be less than 3 points for Texas statewide election. So that is going to be one more seat for the Republicans. And then I believe that is going to be there's going to be actually one more likely state, that being the state of Nebraska. So that state, this is a bit of an interesting situation. There's an independent, Dan Osborne, who actually ran for Senate in 2024. Also in Nebraska, of course, as an independent, he did fairly well. He outperformed Harris on the statewide level by a pretty considerable margin. So I do think he would probably be a good pick for, and Democrats aren't running anybody last I heard in Nebraska, so it would just be the Republican versus Dan Osborne, and he's got some appeal for sure, so I think he would narrow it up. Ultimately, it's going to be one more seat for the Republicans, though, if I were to predict it today. So that is going to be one more seat for the Republicans. And then with that, I'm going to switch over to the likely Democratic states. So really there's just one here in that column, that being the state of Minnesota. So that brings us to 49 to 44. And then there are the rest of these I'm going to predict to be in the tilt, or in the lean and tilt category. So I'll start out with the lean Republican states. I think really there's going to be 2 of these. I'm going to start out with Alaska. I think that Mary Peltola would certainly narrow things in the state of Alaska. She, of course, did win an election, and because Alaska is pretty small population-wise, the whole state is one House district. So the House district and the Senate district are just both the whole state. And Peltola was able to win her race as a Democrat in Alaska at large, so I do think she's got a chance to narrow it up for the Senate race. It was a great pick. I think Democrats are possibly well positioned. Ultimately, I think it would still be a Republican victory, but I do think she would narrow the margin by considerably more than any other Democrat really could. So that's going to be 50. So automatically Republicans hold the House, hold the Senate. Sorry, at least for the rest of Trump's term. And then I do think news will get even better for the Republicans. I'm going to predict the state of Ohio. This state, generally I would put into the likely column. Generally, Ohio, Iowa, Texas, and Florida are in the likely presidential, at least. But Ohio has Sherrod Brown, former senator, Democratic senator, running for not his seat, but the other Ohio seat, and I think this is going to be a strong pick for Democrats. I don't think he will ultimately be able to win, but nonetheless, that's going to be one more vote for the Republicans. And then we have one in the lean blue state, one lean blue seat. So that is going to be the state of New Hampshire. So that's one more seat for the Democrats. So 45 to 51. That leaves really the four main swing states that are going to decide the well, they're not going to decide the Senate, but decide the margin at least. So I'll start out in Georgia and then kind of bounce around. Georgia, I feel, of these states, I feel the most confident in putting into the Democratic Party's column. Georgia, this is Jon Ossoff's seat. I think that he has got a really good chance of winning re-election, so that's going to be one more seat for the Democrats. And then North Carolina, weirdly enough, I also I'm going to put into the Democratic Party's column. The state, former popular Democratic governor of the state, is running for Senate. He was a great pick. And I think, if I remember correctly, Roy Cooper, and he's got a good shot at doing quite well and most likely even winning the state. He was, of course, able to win as a governor for the governor statewide elections. And I think Democrats got a great candidate with him and could be a flip from Republican seat to a Democratic seat, and so Democrats are grateful for any chance they can get with that. Then that leaves us with Michigan and Maine. In Michigan, my last prediction, I put it into the tilt red column. There haven't been too many polls. We're still a while out before these elections take place, a little under a year. So Michigan is still far out, and well, all these states are. But for now, I'm going to put it, I do think of the states, of the four swing ones, I think it's the most likely to end up in the Republican Party's column. I could very easily see it in the Democratic Party's column. Ultimately, any of these swing states could end up in the other party's column. But for now, I'm going to go with tilt red. And then that leaves us with the state of Maine. I think this will be Democrats' second flip. This will be, aside from North Carolina, so Maine. This is Susan Collins' seat, and she has very routinely improved upon her polling numbers and has been able to win re-election as a Republican in what is generally regarded as a fairly Democratic state. So it's possible that she can do it again, but I just don't think this will. I think this will probably be the election that will kind of that will be the end of the road for her, that she won't be able to win re-election. So we'll have to see what happens, though. It'll be interesting to watch all these Senate races. But for now, that brings us to 52 seats for the Republicans to 48 for the Democrats. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe.